You are now listening to the smooth, mellifluous sounds of Red's Room Podcast. Enjoy.
Welcome to episode number 20 of the Red's Room Podcast. I'm your host, Red.
And I'm your co-host, Jake.
And today we are talking about the Admiral Bird. As always, our references are in the episode description. Please dig into those and learn something.
Hell yeah, man.
Okay, give you a little backstory here about the Admiral. So, Richard Evelyn Byrd Jr., born October 25th, 1888, died March 11th, 1957, was an American naval officer, a pioneering American aviator, polar explorer, and organizer of polar logistics. Aircraft flights in which he served as a navigator and expedition leader crossed the Atlantic Ocean, a segment of the Arctic Ocean, and a segment of the Antarctic Plateau. He is also known for discovering Mount Sidley, the largest dormant volcano in Antarctica. Byrd said that his expeditions had been the first to reach both the North Pole and the South Pole by air. His belief that he reached the North Pole is disputed. He was a recipient of the Medal of Honor, the United States Armed Forces' highest military decoration, and the Navy Cross, the second highest honor for valor given by the U.S. Navy.
Definitely a decorated military individual. He had some good shit going for him.
And a very famous explorer for the things that he...
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the one's disputed, but he did, the man went through some things.
Mm-hmm. They really were kind of, him and his squad were like pioneers mapping out the poles.
Imagine back then trying to fly an aircraft into the Arctic.
I watched an interview with him too, and the planes weren't as good then. They couldn't fly as long. They were heavier, and like, there was a few juicy quotes of him talking. It was a little sketch, man.
It was super sketchy.
What?
You had to.
Oh,
really had to know what you were doing back then.
Oh yeah.
Not that it's not hard now, but it was even harder back then.
Technology advances. We get cooler and cooler shit. Some of the jets the military has nowadays are just fucking cool. I won't go on a tangent, but it is crazy how on their shittier technology and shittier resources, they were able to get some pretty good stuff done, and he was awarded for it, man.
Because back then they were men. They
Yeah.
got it
Yeah.
done, okay?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about his most famous expedition here. And this has to do with the military. It was called Operation High Jump. In 1946, Secretary of the Navy James Forrestal appointed Byrd as officer in charge of Antarctic development projects. Byrd's fourth Antarctic expedition was codenamed Operation High Jump. It was the largest Antarctic expedition to date and was expected to last 6 to 8 months. The expedition was supported by a large naval force designated Task Force 68. Would have been cooler if it was 69, but still cool.
They were one off.
Commander by Rear Admiral Richard H. Cruzen, 13 U.S. Navy-supported ships, 6 helicopters, 6 flying boats, 2 seaplane tenders, and 15 other aircraft were used. The total number of personnel involved was over 4,000.
This is a big project.
Yeah, this is super big. The Armada arrived in the Ross Sea on December 31st, 1946, and made aerial explorations of an area half the size of the United States, recording 10 new mountain ranges. The major area covered was the eastern coastline of the Antarctic from 150 degrees east to the Greenwich Meridian.
They're covering some ground.
Yeah, this was a giant operation. I wonder what it cost. They don't disclose that. But back then,
Millions.
this cost a lot of money.
I want to get into the objective of this operation because I think it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, go into it.
So this is what the wiki says. It's in 6 points. I'm going to start off with number 1 here. Number 1, so the objective of Operation High Jump: train personnel and test equipment in the cold conditions. That makes sense. Number 2, consolidate and extend the U.S. sovereignty over the largest practicable area of the Antarctic continent. And they put this in quotations. This was publicly denied as a goal before the expedition ended. So the U.S. kind of had this goal but didn't let anyone know, which is a little fishy to me. Number 3, determine if this was even worth our time. Number 4, develop techniques so that we could build and maintain air bases on ice, which sounds pretty fucking dope to me.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Number 5, gain knowledge of the area, electromagnetic, geological, geographic, hydrographic, and meteorological propagation conditions in the area. Some big words for me. 6, help out with Operation Nanook, which was an similar operation to High Jump, but just on a smaller scale. I believe they were covering the Greenland area. And that was the 6 main objectives of this
Okay.
whole idea, and it gets a little crazier here. So after this operation ends, I believe it's in the February 1947. The next month, March 5th, 1947, he has an interview. Admiral Byrd has an interview with a gentleman named Lee Van Atta. And this is a quote from that interviewer. I think this is pretty juicy right here. Admiral Richard E. Byrd warned today that the United States should adopt measures of protection against the possibility of an invasion of the country by hostile planes coming from the polar regions. The admiral explained that he was not trying to scare anyone, but the cruel reality is that in the case of a new war, the United States could be attacked by planes flying over one or both of the poles. Talking about the recently completed expedition, Byrd said that the most important result of his observations and discoveries is the potential effect that they have in relation to the security of the United States. The fantastic speed with which the world is shrinking is one of the most important lessons learned during his recent Antarctic exploration. I have to warn my compatriots that the time has ended where we were able to take refuge in our isolation and rely on the certainty that the distances, the oceans and the poles were a guarantee of safety. That is a very juicy quote, in my opinion. It kind of seems like with them being able to explore more, that the world is shrinking in a metaphorical kind of way, and that we need to gear up. Now, the validity of that quote is up for debate, but I think it is very juicy how he explains that there is going to be, he says, planes from both poles, either one or both, that are going to invade the United States, which, you know, obviously it never happened.
What is that? What is he talking about there?
What the hell is he talking about? And if you're wondering where I got this is from the Operation High Jump wiki. This is on the wiki. You can find the quote. But that was a fucking cool one, wasn't it, Red?
Yeah, that's weird. That's interesting. I don't know what he means by that.
I don't know either. You know, we'll get a little weirder here, but this guy, this conspiracy delves into some weird stuff. Maybe
that
some
might be the
stuff.
only quote that's going to support the crazier things.
Okay, all right.
So I like it. I'm into it.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get into the crazy. We've covered the basics.
Mm-hmm.
So now let's bring you guys into, the phantasmical.
The juicy stuff right here.
All right. We're going to talk about the secret lost diary of Admiral Byrd. That's juicy just in itself.
The secret lost diary.
Yes.
Not only is it lost, it's also very secret.
It's like we're setting up an Indiana Jones movie.
Dude, yeah.
Right?
Okay. This is the 6th movie.
Here we go. In the books, The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd by Timothy Green Beckley and Admiral Richard Byrd's Missing Diary, A Flight to the Land Beyond the North Pole into the Hollow Earth by Jeff Douglas are points of the secret diary of Admiral Byrd during Operation High Jump. Now I'm going to read to you guys some excerpts from the books. I got one from the Hollow Earth book, and I got one from A Flight to the Land Beyond the North Pole, The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd.
Weren't you telling me there was like 3 separate books?
There is 3 famous books, but I got quotes here from 2.
Okay.
I wish they shortened the name of that other book.
That is a mouthful of a title there.
I know.
They were really doing the most with that.
I'm a lot of water, so I'm going to do my best, guys. Okay. So, the excerpt from the Hollow Earth book. Here we go. During his Arctic flight of 1,700 miles beyond the North Pole, he reported by radio that he saw below him not ice and snow, but land areas consisting of mountains, forests, green vegetation, lakes, and rivers, and in the underbrush saw a strange animal resembling the mammoth. In January 1956, Admiral Byrd led another expedition to the Antarctic, and there penetrated for 2,300 miles beyond the South Pole. The radio announcement at this time said, on January 13th, members of the United States expedition penetrated a land extent of 2,300 miles beyond the pole. The flight was made by Rear Admiral George Dufek of the United States Navy Air Unit. Byrd said on March 13, 1956, the present expedition has opened up a vast new land. Admiral Byrd said in February 1947, before his North Pole flight, I'd like to see that land beyond the pole. That area beyond the pole is the center of the great unknown. That is the end of the excerpt from Hollow Earth. So what's interesting is they saw a mammoth, and they're going way beyond the pole. 2,300 miles beyond the pole. In what direction? Where are they going?
Who the fuck knows, man? It's also interesting how he claims that he sees a mammoth, and I believe that the woolly mammoth is one of the animals that they're trying to bring back, like, more recently.
I think, yeah, I believe that they have started working on that with a Indian breed of elephant, actually.
That's it's fucking interesting, man. If only they hit up Admiral Byrd a long time ago, he could have got their hands on one of them.
Bro, there's one down here.
We already got a few.
So yeah, pretty interesting. I'm gonna dive into now the other excerpt. This is that was the short excerpt, actually. This is a long one from, well, I guess just by the title you can say you would know it's long because the title's long. A Flight to the Land Beyond the North Pole, The Missing Diary of Admiral Richard E. Byrd. Here it is. I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. Okay, I should have prefaced with, this is after supposedly the Admiral found a city beyond the North Pole.
Mm-hmm. I can dig into a quote real quick to talk about.
Go ahead. We should have set this up better. Thank you. Help me out here.
To talk about the city. So this is from another version of the diary. This is on, I'm going to preface, it's not a great website. I'm not going to act like this is fact. But this one is called The Inner Earth. And I'm going to skip down a little while. So this is at 10:30 hours. Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very interesting there in Antarctica. But continuing on our heading now, navigation instruments seem normal now. I'm puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp. Radio is not functioning. Now we skip forward to 11:30 hours. Countryside below is more level than normal. Ahead we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and the starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. They are closing rapidly alongside. They are dish-shaped and now have a radiant quality to them. They are close enough now to see the markings on them. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. Skip ahead to 11:35 here. Our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English, which perhaps to be a slight Nordic or Germanic accent. The message is, "Welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax. You are in good hands. I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless." I think that is... I kind of got into it a little bit. That was a very juicy quote.
Good one. Perfect. That's what we needed. Yeah. So that's the perfect setup. So there is some sort of UFO craft with swastikas on them.
A supposed swastika-like insignia.
Supposedly they pull up on him in his plane, talk to him over radio, I'm assuming. I don't know if it said it was like in his head, but I think it was over radio.
As far as I know, it was radio.
And then they take control of his plane, actually. They actually take control of his plane, fly his plane, and land it. He has no control over it. It just does it. And so now he lands in this supposed city.
Supposedly, yes.
In this valley, this green valley in Antarctica.
Supposedly very mountainous as well.
And from what I read, the city was like a crystal city.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, what I saw, it talked about it being like crystal structures. I mean, who knows? But it's amazing. So now I'm going to read you that quote. This is after he gets into that city and he's talking to their leaders and leader, and the leader is called the Master.
Interesting, man.
Yeah, why wouldn't he be? Why wouldn't he be?
Yes, Master.
He's the master of the Crystal City. All right, so here we go. I bid you farewell, our domain admiral. I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. I am seated. He places his fingertips together and smiles. He speaks softly again and conveys the following. We have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known to the surface world, Admiral. Surface world? I half gasped under my breath. Yes, the Master replies with a smile. You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. We shall not long delay your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. It was at that alarming time we sent our flying machines, the Flugelrods, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral. But I must continue on. You see, we have never interfered before in your race's wars and barbarity. But now we must, for you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man, namely, that of atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be witness here that our world does not exist. You see, our cultures and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. I interrupted, but what does this have to do with me, sir? The Master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into my mind, and after studying me for a few moments, he replied, Your race has now reached the point of no return. For there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish their power as they know it." I nodded, and the master continued. "In 1945 and afterward, we tried to contract your race.
Contact.
Thank you. We tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility. Our Flugelgrads..."
That's a tough word.
Man, I feel like I did it better earlier. "Our Flugelgrads were fired upon, yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your armies. There will be no safety in your science. It may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos."
Wow.
So that's the end of the quote from that book.
I almost want to make that connection to the interview that I was talking about where Admiral Byrd said that there was going to be planes coming from the North and South Poles. Maybe he made that connection to that, but
That's what I'm wondering as well.
that's what makes sense to me. But holy shit, that quote was dense, man. Very dense.
It also reminds me of that, for anyone out there that's deep into the UFOology, it has been highly believed that the large concentration of UFO sightings happened after we developed atomic weapons and atomic energy as well. So when we started to delve into the nuclear energy world is when they started noticing us. Mm-hmm. And that coincides with this story.
100% it does.
And it makes sense. They're like, hey, there's a bunch of apes with nukes.
Yeah, like
So we need to talk to them.
it's like you've stepped to a point to where like they kind of said almost verbatim, there is no return. Like you've gone too far.
Yeah. You now have world-ending technology. So why are you guys fighting amongst yourselves over stupid ideologies?
Yeah.
Like,
what is with
what
all
are you
this
doing?
unnecessary, just stupid shit?
Like, what are
man?
you doing? You can end the whole, you can destroy the whole planet. So what are you doing? Yeah.
And also we are, I want to believe this is real. This is definitely a more tinfoil hatty topic we've.
What do you mean? We didn't even get into that part of the podcast yet.
But it is very interesting. This quote unquote master is like almost, I don't want to say all knowing, but he seems very educated on to what is happening not only in his city, but also what is happening on how he says the surface level world.
Yeah.
It's fucking cool, man. But it's also like, come on, man. Like, did this really happen? I don't know.
Side note, how rich do I have to be to have my own side city surrounded by ice? That would be dope. But yeah, it's extremely interesting. So even if this is all bullshit, the points that he's making are totally true, right? You're dealing with
He's kind of hitting on some real
nuclear
world.
bombs have been dropped, and people are like, yo.
Yeah, because they reference Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Yeah, he's talking about the nuclear bombs dropped, and he's like, yeah, now we got to talk to you guys. So
do we need to be enlightened?
If
Is
we-
the master the one?
if we were going to be talked to or, encountered by aliens, or in this case, an advanced,
Hollow Earth Society.
to me, I understand. I know they talk about it being Hollow Earth, but to me, it doesn't sound like
It
Hollow
doesn't.
Earth. It just sounds like a
That's
city in
true.
Antarctica, right?
It
Does it
does-
sound like that to you?
It does. I did get the vibes of where these guys don't look like they're living inside the Earth.
Yeah, it sounded to me like a city in Antarctica, like in a valley.
Exactly.
And in their valley,
Maybe below sea level, but
in their
still-
valley was like, yeah, it wasn't frozen where they are. But yeah, it's linked to Hollow Earth things. But to me, it just sounds like a valley in Antarctica that is has a climate that's not frozen.
I definitely agree with you.
Is that a good way to put it?
I totally agree with you. I just think
Okay.
the Hollow Earth shit is just comedy.
But yeah, people talk about them being in a hollow Earth. Like they say that Admiral Byrd had to fly like into
down
into a tunnel
Yeah,
inside of Earth to reach this city.
some Han Solo shit.
Okay, maybe he did. But from the story I hear, it sounds to me like he found a city in a valley.
The only thing though that I will say is this quote unquote master does refer to Admiral Byrd and humans as the society that is on top. How does he word it?
The surface world.
Yeah, he refers to
Surface
it as the
dwellers,
surface
what
world,
does he call them?
which maybe he's talking it more like mentally, like maybe we're dumber, which he is definitely. It seems like he's kind of getting to that point, which I get, but
Okay, I got to give him some credit here because honestly, if there was like a hollow Earth and a surface Earth, it would be dumb to be on the surface because we are subject to like, how many times has our Earth been destroyed by comets and shit? And he's like, why aren't you on the inside of the
also
planet?
think about like the
You're retarded.
Yeah.
On the inside, it's totally safe. We're guarded by everything,
Hey, you can't use that word, man. But
yeah, that's just me playing devil's advocate on his side. But yeah,
I get it. I mean, we do have like fucking super volcanoes under Yellowstone that could just wipe our shit out. So
yeah,
he's
exactly.
thinking-
He's like, the surface is so
It's a
volatile.
piece of shit,
are you
man.
retarded? Why are you up there? Yeah. How'd you even live? How'd you even evolve up there?
Yeah, it does. It's almost like we're monkeys. That the way he's describing, we're monkeys who got our hands on.
We're definitely
World-
monkey. We're definitely.
to
I know
them.
I'm an ape.
You
I'm a
think so?
Neanderthal still. You're more Neanderthal than me. Look at you, you beast.
Fuck it. Yeah. Little extra build, little neck beard. I could be a Neanderthal if I wanted to for Halloween or something.
Right. Okay, guys. All right, we sidetracked enough. Let's get back into. Okay, we've already started. We started bullshitting about this, but let's talk about this. Fact or fiction? All right. I'm gonna read a little bit into this. Okay. These books get all of their info from a secret diary of the admiral's that was passed down to his son. However, there is no evidence that Admiral Byrd had a secret diary that he passed down to his son. Also, whether or not he actually made it to the pole is questionable. Here's a quote. Quote, "It is a measure of the enduring fame of Richard Evelyn Byrd that nearly 72 years after he claimed to have been the first man to fly over the North Pole, scholars, navigators, and polar explorers are still arguing over whether he actually made it to the pole." Helps to penetrate some of the mythology shrouding Byrd's persona, and both supporters and distractors of Byrd will relish it. It makes some long-standing questions seem all the more fascinating. End quote from New York Times book review of the book To the Pole.
That was a juicy quote right there.
Yeah.
Definitely very fascinating, man.
So he might not have even made it to the pole, let alone made it beyond the pole.
That's what really fucking sucks about this one. Like, this is such a cool theory, and it's just shrouded in possible bullshit or forgery or lies or...
All good conspiracies are, right?
You're not wrong, man. You are not... Especially, like, I love this one, but it's just tough, man.
I know. Let's get into a little more tough material.
Yeah,
And then we'll continue on. So I'm going to read a little more here. The clues are in Byrd's long-lost diary of the expedition, which an archivist at the center recently found in a mislabeled box of Byrd's memorabilia. The diary contains navigational quotes that Dennis Rawlings, a Baltimore navigation expert and historian of polar expeditions, has interpreted to mean that Byrd failed in his attempt at the pole, even though he claimed to have reached it. One incriminating finding: the diary contains an erased but still readable sextant reading that put Byrd about 165 miles south of where he would later claim in his official report to have been at the moment toward the end of the flight north. Rawlings said, quote, "What we find in his diary is not consistent with Byrd getting all the way to the pole," end quote.
This is kind of where they're kind of shooting down what he's claiming. And, you know, I don't blame him, man. There is some wishy-washy shit when it comes to Admiral Byrd, and it really just pisses me off more than anything.
So, well, these are people who don't even go into the secret diaries. They don't even go into the crazy shit. They're just saying his normal stuff on military record, his normal explorations of him reaching the pole.
They have an asterisk.
They're saying, we don't even think he reached the pole. So is the guy just 100% full of shit?
Is he just a bullshitter? Yeah, that's where it's hard to make a conclusion, but there is a decent case towards that he's full of shit.
Yeah. Did he fabricate it? Did he get all the way down there? You know, they spent all this money. They got him down there. They got him close. And then they found out that, like, yo, his plane can't quite make it. Like, maybe it wasn't even him. Mm-hmm. Like, his plane is freezing up before he gets, you know, he's getting 100 miles away from the pole and he can't quite make it. Or maybe he can't quite calculate it right. I don't know. You know, back then he's doing it on a sextant, for God's sake.
And that's where
I don't want to take anything away from the man. He's a G, dude. He is a G. He's out there doing this.
I would be shitting my pants in that plane, dude. Fuck all that, man.
Okay, but maybe he did. Maybe he didn't reach the pole. But yeah,
it's hard to say. The only evidence that I do support him is that, like, there is, like, Operation High Jump we come back to. Like, he is referenced, like, on the wiki. Like, he was a part of, like, pretty dope explorations, but it's like, to what extent to where we're getting to here? Was it exaggerated?
I'm going to go on record saying I have no knowledge of any of this, but in my heart, I believe Byrd made it. He made it to the pole.
He made it? Yeah.
I believe he made it to the pole.
Do you think he made it to the...
I don't know, man. I don't know much, but I feel like he wouldn't say he did if he didn't.
Dude, I watched an interview with him, and he looked like your hardworking, like, father of 2 or 3, like... It sucks to...
probably had a family on the side.
It looked like... he had his Antarctica family, and then he had his U.S. family.
He had an Eskimo family.
He did, totally. They had a dope... Oh, my God, man.
All right. Yeah, maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
It's hard to say, man. It's hard to say.
Okay, but maybe he didn't, but he had to say he did for America.
And that's part of it, too. I don't want to get
just like the guys who supposedly went to the moon.
I was just going to say that, Nick. I was just going to say that shit.
Right? Yeah. They had to say they did for America.
Yeah.
Because America's got to be there, right?
America.
Fuck yeah. So, yeah. That's all we got is our bullshit.
Should we move on? Sorry if we...
I think we covered that. Okay. Let's move on. So I want to talk about the Antarctic Treaty.
Okay.
So this is a little bit after this happened with Byrd. Okay. The Antarctic Treaty was signed in Washington on December 1st, 1959 by the 12 countries whose scientists had been active in and around Antarctica during the International Geophysical Year of 1957 and 58. It entered into force in 1961 and has since been acceded to by many other nations. The total number of parties to the treaty is now 56. Proponents of the Hollow Earth and other conspiracies around Antarctica have claimed the treaty was made up to keep the truth hidden. That is, to keep the Hollow Earth truth hidden. However, here are some important provisions of what's actually said in the treaty. Article 1. Antarctica shall be used for peaceful purposes only.
Calling bullshit.
Article 2. Freedom of scientific investigation in Antarctica and cooperation towards that end shall continue.
Okay.
Article 3. Scientific observations and results from Antarctica shall be exchanged and made freely available.
You know, I don't want to be
It
that
sounds
guy.
good to me.
It sounds kind of PR, though, too.
You think?
I don't know. I don't want to believe that, man. The way they're saying it, you know, and it could totally be surface value. This
Yeah.
is what it is, but it sounds a little PR to me.
All right. I like that you're going on that end. I'm going to go devil's advocate.
Okay. No, I
So-
like this. This is good.
Okay. So I like you're on that end. So let's just say, okay, yeah, to me, it sounds like, hey, here is a giant frozen block of ice with nothing in it. Let's be peaceful and go ahead. Let the scientists have at it.
And that's just as valid as I'm not going to argue with that. That's totally plausible.
I'm not saying that's my
Yeah.
stance. I'm just saying
You're playing no,
I
exactly.
see.
Exactly.
To me, it sounds good though. Like,
It
hey, yeah,
just-
you know what? Let's keep it peaceful. Let the scientists have at it there.
I guess in theory it does sound good. I will go with you with that. For sure.
But a lot of people say, or a lot of conspiracists say, because apparently conspiracists aren't people.
Yeah.
But a lot of conspiracists say the treaty was made to keep people from being able to dig in what's going on there.
That's what I'm kind of pointing to.
They made a treaty there that all the nations stay away from it, so that we can't ever actually find out what's going on there.
That's the big one right there.
Yeah, they say the treaty is to hide. Some people say the treaty is to hide the hollow earth. Other people say the treaty is to hide technology that they found there.
Yeah.
Other people say the treaty is to hide an ancient civilization they found there.
It's
That's
tough to
like
say.
that is that the ancient civilization is like frozen in the ice, but it changes.
okay.
But it would change our whole idea of history of the human race.
Gotcha.
You know, who knows? Who knows?
They don't want that bombshell to drop if there is something fucking cool there, man.
Right. But yeah, that's the conspiracy around the treaty, because Antarctica is pretty left alone other than to
As
researchers.
far as we know.
It's mostly left alone. Like, well, yeah, like we can't just go there. We can't just go there and
Exactly.
explore it.
But I will say I really did like how you played quote unquote devil's advocate there, because it totally could go both ways, man. When he said the act one, I called bullshit or whatever. Who really knows? Who
And
really knows?
I've wondered too, also to play more devil's advocate.
Okay.
How hard is it to go research it? You know, is it just a matter of money? Like if I had enough money to put together a team and was like, hey, I got a scientist here and we've got to go research this, are they going to block me? Or are they going to let me just do whatever? They're like, hey, man, if you can fucking survive out there, go ahead.
Dude.
You know, they might be. They might be like, all right, yeah, go for it, man.
I
But
don't want to.
by the way, you got about 18 hours out there and you're dead.
Yeah.
So go for it.
Dude, I don't want to
maybe they are. I don't know.
But Alex Jones on one of their episodes, he was gonna fund Eddie Bravo to go to the fucking ice wall.
Was he?
Yeah, it was. I mean, they were joking around, but I'm like, dude, get me on that fucking ship. Like,
Oh, man, I would go.
I would
for
go.
sure. Yeah, you would go too. You got to do some push-ups first.
I did. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. We would survive.
I hope so, man. Unless we get stopped by a fucking other ship that they're just locked and loaded with ARs and shit. I don't know. There's like weird evidence of people going there and they get told to turn around. I don't know if it's true or not, but
I was just going to say, I feel like you should explain the ice wall a little bit for people who aren't familiar with it. And by the way, that ties into this. That all comes from Admiral Byrd. So supposedly, he said he was flying 2,300 miles beyond the pole. Mm-hmm. Supposedly, he was flying beyond the ice wall, and he was flying into unknown territories.
We kind of get
So
into flat Earth
do you got any? I know I'm putting you on the spot,
No, you can put
but
me
you
on the
brought
spot.
up the
I'll
ice
try
wall.
here.
So
try.
can you give a brief explanation onto what that is?
So as far as I know, as far as the ice wall is concerned, it really delves into the flat Earth conspiracy to where you imagine the Earth is like a pizza or a pancake, and to where, if you're going to go to the edge of it, you're going to fall off, right? And I guess the theory of it is that there is a ice wall that surrounds the edge of the pancake.
And on our maps, that's Antarctica.
Exactly, to where our spherical Earth map, to where Antarctica is in the south, they extend it all the way around there.
So if you looked at
Or
it
flat
as a
Earth.
sphere, it would look like a giant clump of ice. But if you cut that and stretch that out into a pizza
flat,
shape, it would be a wall of ice around the edge of it.
As far as I know, that is how it's explained. I know we're getting a little far out there, but I do think it's interesting to throw into this topic. It definitely
Yeah, no, we're not
connects.
endorsing it. We're just explaining.
Exactly.
So you were saying about that is that possibly when
Past.
Admiral Byrd is saying he flew
He flew
beyond
past the ice wall.
it, is that he flew beyond the ice wall, and some people believe that beyond that ice wall, instead of if you can imagine it not being a planet, it being a plane with an ice wall around it, that he went to the South Pole and he flew beyond that and he found more land. So instead of him
Falling off the
well, not falling off, but instead of him flying around the globe, he just kept flying on into more territories.
It's very interesting, man. It's cool to think about.
So yeah, that's where proponents of that ideology that's where
They kind of
I'm trying to be careful with my wording.
No, I get it.
I don't want to insult anyone.
They kind of reference Admiral Byrd and his discoveries.
But yeah,
and
they reference his discovery and that he flew beyond the South Pole and he found more territory. So yeah, they believe that where we live on this plane, it just keeps going on, and there's more land, there's more territories, and more cities and things to find.
I think you covered it pretty well. It's pretty hard to digest that topic and these kind of ideas and connecting them, but it's fucking interesting nonetheless.
It's interesting,
But also a little like,
and okay, I don't believe in it, but I respect people
Yeah.
who believe in that, and I respect what they believe. And so supposedly when he flew 2,300 miles beyond there, he was going into the other territory beyond the ice wall,
finds
and
Greenland.
he found that city beyond the ice wall. So some people believe he found that city beyond the ice wall. Other people believe that he flew into an opening in the South Pole that let him fly into the inner hollow earth
There's
where
like a
he found that
chasm
city.
he could get through.
So there's two entirely different but similar conspiracies around it.
Dude, this is like an RPG open world map. Like, you start off the game,
Yeah.
you're in an easy area, and the farther you get out, and then you explore more. You got to be kitted to survive in these areas. But it's very, what would I say? Fantastical, I guess is the word. I don't know.
Right.
It's cool, but it's also like, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's hard to say what the fuck is actually going on, but
Who knows? Maybe
Who
we're
the
all being
fuck
lied
knows,
to
man?
about the Earth.
who knows?
I don't know. But I want to talk about something that I know is crazy about Antarctica.
Let's fucking do it.
Okay?
Man.
You know what? I don't know if Hollow Earth is true. I don't know if Flat Earth is true. I am not a scientist. I am not smart enough to know those things. But this one is interesting. So I want to talk about the Piri-Reis map. The Piri-Reis map is a world map compiled in 1513 by the Ottoman admiral and cartographer Piri Reis. Approximately 1/3 of the map survives, housed in the Topkapi Palace in Istanbul. It was based on much older maps. What is so curious about the Piri Reis map is that it shows Antarctica free of ice, and it shows it quite accurately.
Wow.
But how could they know what the continent looked like without ice when it had been covered for millions of years? Either it was mapped by an ancient, highly advanced humans, or it was unfrozen for a period where more modern humans were able to discover and map it, but still much sooner than believed. Maybe there is evidence of a lost civilization underneath the ice.
Dun, dun, dun.
So this is where, I got to be honest, I subscribe more to this theory.
Do you?
I definitely do, because how did they map it?
It's hard to say, man. This whole topic is hard to say, but
How did they map it, and how did they map it so accurately?
like as far as like how big it was and
Dude, it's like,
it's pretty accurate.
if you look at it, it's like, yeah, like the outer like coastline like matches. And some people will say like, oh, you have to count this or this for it to be like perfect. It's like, dude, these are people with a compass
yeah, they didn't have
and a piece
GPS.
of paper. Like, dude, it's as perfect as you can get. It is way more perfect than I could do it with a compass and piece of paper. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how accurate it is.
You know, I didn't really delve into that one, but the way you're kind of selling me, man. You're kind of selling me a little bit, Red.
I think it's because I'm sold on
Yeah,
this
you're
one.
selling it to me a little bit.
So here's what I'm getting at, guys. If I'm gonna go conspiratorial, I think that under the ice, I think they have found a evidence of a advanced ancient civilization that they're not telling us about. If I'm gonna be fully honest, if I'm going full tinfoil hat, that's what I think. That's what I believe.
Do you think that civilization is still alive, or do you think
No,
that it's gone?
No, I think
think
I think they're gone. I think
Okay.
they're frozen. I think they're dead, frozen under the ice. But I think there's evidence of, like their whatever they built. If it was pyramids,
gotta be.
or what, and their ancient hieroglyphics. I think it's all frozen under there.
Okay.
And that I think that the U.S. is researching it. I'm going super tinfoil
No,
hat
I like
here,
it, man.
guys.
I like it.
But I think that I think we have people researching it.
I guess it's hard. This one, usually I kind of half pick a side. Like, I'm going with this one. This
Right.
one's hard for me, man.
It's a tough one.
This one is just a tough one in general.
I want to believe in the Admiral Bird story, but it's really thin.
I don't want to sell out here, but I'm gonna co-sign you, Red, on this one.
Yeah?
I'm gonna the way you set it up there makes a lot of sense to me, but who the fuck knows? Who knows?
Hopefully we find out one day. But as all the conspiracists know, the government isn't going to tell us what they really know.
Oh, if they found the good shit, we'll never find out, man. There is no way. But
I think there's something under that ice, man. I
think
think
so? There is something
I think there is.
well, there's also
And I subscribe to Graham Hancock's theory. He's the man. He's the GOAT.
okay.
I subscribe to his theory that there were advanced humans much older than archaeology
yeah.
says there was.
I feel like
I think there was, man. There's
way-
a lot of evidence for it.
the way you're setting it up with that, there's theories of we had a previous, like, quote unquote golden era. Maybe these
Yes.
things frozen in the ice were a part of that golden era, and
Yeah, they were-
everything falls apart.
They were living there chilling.
It used to be green,
on Antarctica.
lush
It was
land.
all green and like I don't know if it was tropical, but like they were chill. They were thriving there.
The way
just
I
like
would
we
imagine it.
are thriving here, but in 100,000 years, what's the landscape going to be like here? Who knows? You know, the Earth changes so much, and many civilizations have been wiped out by cataclysms. You know, why wouldn't they be? There's
talks of a few cataclysmic events in the history of the Earth, and maybe the people that lived, maybe the society that was prospering in Antarctica was victim of one.
very possible.
It's hard to say, but
hey, man, maybe they're the real life Atlantis. I don't know,
dude.
Just like, have you seen all the ancient pyramids that are underwater? Have you seen those?
I've heard of them.
Man, look up the videos. Like, you can see the videos of scuba divers down there.
Finding
there is
them.
pyramids under the water. So, you know what? As far as the Hollow Earth goes, I gotta say, guys, I am sorry. I'm not a subscriber, but I don't discount it. I'm not ruling it out.
I'm not a subscriber.
I'll be honest. I'm not ruling it out as a possibility. I am with you. If you have some real evidence, I want to hear it.
I get the hype of it.
I totally get it. But I am more for the that there is an ancient civilization under that ice. I'm more for that theory.
Okay. Yeah, I like that one, man. I like that.
I know on a lot of ours, we don't draw hard lines or we don't go deep into what we think. So I'm giving you guys, I'm trying to give you guys something more solid. Here's what I think. But I'm not married to these thoughts. I am totally down to change them based on facts and, information that comes in the future. What do you got, Jake?
To be honest with you here, I'm pretty tapped out, man.
Yeah.
That's about all this
That's as
topic.
far as you go.
This topic is fucking cool, but it's just shrouded in like a dark bubble of
Let me
mystery.
ask you this. Do you think Admiral Bird made it to the South Pole? Yes or no?
Man.
Don't give me a political response.
I'm going to say yes, he did. I think he did.
Okay.
I think he did. The interviews that I've watched of him speaking, he seems like a good gentleman, and maybe he did lie. Now, if I'm going to make my own theory is that if he didn't make it, like how you kind of touched on earlier, that he was told by the government to say that he made it. So that's where I'm going with that.
Some people think that he made it and then he was told by the government to lie about the civilization he found.
That's the thing. You could pull it any way you wanted to. It's
I know.
hard, man.
That's the only part of the conspiracy I believe. The only part of the conspiracy I believe is the government telling him not to talk about it.
Yeah, once again, like, who knows? But I'm going to
So
go.
you
I'm going to
think he
stick
made
with my
it?
guns. I think he made it, man.
Do you
I
think
did
he
it.
found a civilization?
No.
You don't think he did?
I
don't think he did either.
I don't think he did.
I mean, honestly, dude, the fact that the other craft were the UFOs coming up on him had swastikas on them, I don't buy that for a minute. Okay, you're telling me he found some civilization unknown to man, and they pulled up representing, this symbol that just happens to be the most giant symbol of World War II while he was doing this.
Dude,
that does not make sense.
That is final boss right there.
To me, that doesn't make sense. If he found some civilization that has been there, for millennia beyond us, evolving for thousands of years beyond the rest of us on the surface, they should have some different symbology, right?
That's like
they wouldn't just be
too
representing the most biggest symbology of the time, right? Am I wrong?
You would think so.
I would think
They would have their own
they would have
insignia.
something. Yeah.
They wouldn't just use a fucking swastika now, but we can. If I'm really putting the tinfoil hat on.
Okay,
here,
put it on.
You ready?
Let's go.
They had that
2 layers of foil.
Yeah, I'm doubling up here, boys.
Yeah.
So let's just think about this. They had the insignia first. You know how there's like weird theories about how the Nazis had contact with aliens?
Yeah.
They based their symbol off the aliens.
Oh, off the aliens?
Yeah, or off this Hollow Earth UFO society, whatever it is.
Hitler was visited by UFOs.
He was
and he came up. Yeah.
He was methed up and fucking.
I would have to be extremely high to go along with that one.
obviously I'm just fucking around here, but
I like it though. I like
where
that you went there. I'm down with it. So yeah, I'm sorry, Admiral Bird's secret diary, but
calling BS.
I don't believe in it.
Where's the bullshit meter at? Is it high?
No, I mean, the only way it could have been more bullshit is if a theosophist fucking came up with it. I gotta say, the more research I've done, the more I don't believe in theosophists, and I don't believe in Admiral Bird's secret diary as much as I would like to. I would like to, guys. I want to preface. I would love to fucking believe it.
I'm copping out again. I want to believe
I
it, but I
want
can't.
to believe it, but I can't.
But I do believe.
I believe the Nazi bell way more than I believe this.
I do believe that there was some weird shit found in Antarctica around Operation High Jump, and there was multiple others, Nanook.
I will go there. I believe that they found something in Antarctica and they were researching something in Antarctica that they didn't tell us about. I 100% believe that. And I think, in my opinion, based on everything I've learned from Sesame Street, based on nothing, I believe they found an ancient civilization there that they don't want to tell us about. That's what I think. And I think it was very advanced.
Okay.
That's what I think.
I definitely know where you're coming from. I believe that there was ancient civilizations that were very advanced. Now, do I believe that it was Antarctica or someone else? I don't know, but I do definitely find that plausible.
They found the real Atlantis. For sure. They not only did they find pyramids, but they were like they had a form of like power that was like totally still working, for sure. Based on thought. No, I don't know.
That's yeah.
But yeah. All right, guys. That's what I got on this. We want to hear what you guys think about it, So drop us comments. Let us know. And you know what? We do look at comments and we listen to them. So if there's something we missed or there's something you want to hear us touch on,
we fucked up on, let us know.
Yeah, for sure. We fuck up all the time. But we do our best. So thanks, guys, and drop those comments. Let us know. As always, check out the merch store because we're poor.
Yes.
But yeah. And, until next time, this is Red.
This is Jake.
Thanks for listening. See ya.